Watch a kindergartner at play. They build sprawling block cities, narrate imaginary worlds, and ask why 5 times in a row. Now, look at that same child 5 years later in the 6th grade. The hand stays down, the work gets minimal. Look past the struggling reader or the class clown. These disappearing thinkers are often the students who used to build elaborate Lego cities. They remain highly capable spatial and systems thinkers, but their engagement has evaporated. The cause lies in the classroom environment. Traditional schools reward 2 specific outputs: verbal linguistic tasks, writing and defining, and sequential tasks, which involve following strict steps to find a single correct answer. This chart tracks American student performance over 30 years. While standard test scores remained flat, creativity scores have plummeted. Starting around 1990, children began testing significantly lower on originality and abstract synthesis than previous generations. When an environment exclusively measures one type of output, the part of the brain built for open-ended possibility stops showing up. Like a muscle that only performs one exercise, it systematically atrophies. A biblical framework moves beyond the idea of human beings as simple data processors. In Genesis, a creator makes a maker in his own image. In Exodus, the Spirit fills Bezaleel specifically for skilled craftsmanship, carving, casting, and designing. These capacities are central to the Imago Dei, and a Christian education should steward them accordingly. Modern urgency has intensified this need. Passive, screen-based entertainment has steadily replaced open-ended play at home, leaving the school day as the last predictable environment where a child can build, invent, and try something that might fail. Schools that demand only rote repetition create a formational crisis. By neglecting the capacity to make, they ignore a core aspect of spiritual development. Reclaiming this capacity requires a structural mechanism, a protected making hour. This is 60 minutes at the same time every week where students build something from an open-ended prompt with no single correct answer. This hour functions differently than the rest of the school day. While a standard lesson operates like a test track with one correct lap, Making Hour provides a sandbox for infinite valid shapes. The sandbox relies on 4 pillars. First, 60 non-negotiable minutes to solve a problem. Second, simple materials force invention through constraint. Third, teachers act as facilitators, asking questions instead of giving answers. Fourth, documentation. Brief written reflections transform play into a visible portfolio. These 4 pillars allow any K-8 teacher to run a making hour with supplies already in the closet. It democratizes deep cognitive work without the need for an expensive STEM lab. Because this system operates differently than a traditional subject, educators often try to manage it in ways that stop the learning. Like a gardener digging up a bed every week to check the roots, these behaviors kill growth before it starts. The first failure is grading the output. When a teacher awards a good job sticker for the fanciest project, kids stop building to solve the problem and start building to please the grader. The second is rescuing a stuck kid. Jumping in to show a student the right way removes the tolerable frustration required to build resilience. Learning happens in the moments adults choose to stay silent. The third is abandoning the program after a loud, chaotic first session. Students used to being told exactly what to do will struggle with unstructured time. That noise is adjustment, not failure. The fourth is treating the hour as optional. When a teacher cuts making hour for test prep, they signal to the students that creative thinking is secondary to the real work of school. The survival of the making hour depends on adult restraint. The teacher must withstand the friction of unstructured learning long enough for the system to take root. The cognitive benefits of making hour extend far beyond the sandbox, showing up in traditional academic metrics. The weekly documentation step provides high-frequency writing practice. Because students explain something they actually built, they develop a more specific, authentic voice than they do from typical essay prompts. It also builds a tolerance for productive struggle. A student who spends 40 hours a year wrestling with a collapsing cardboard bridge is rehearsing the exact grit needed to approach a difficult math equation or a scientific process. Finally, open-ended tasks force organic peer collaboration. Students negotiate fixes and share tricks to solve problems that a single-answer worksheet simply cannot generate. Trading 60 minutes of standard instruction for a making hour acts as a high-leverage investment in the cognitive foundation every other subject relies on. These academic results support the primary mission. Whole child formation requires patient, iterative practice. This kind of deep growth resembles a rough stone being shaped by repeated, patient strikes, rather than one dramatic blow. Making, failing, and adjusting for 1 hour a week serves as a practical rehearsal of the spiritual formation described in Scripture. The ultimate proof of this system is the visible, compounding growth of a student learning to think and create in the image of their maker.